3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame with Dawn Branch. On this show, we bring industry professionals into your home so they can share their journey with us so we can learn about their wonderful careers. Tonight's guest is none other than Nasha Thomas from Alvin, Ailey. So in a minute, we'll get right to her. Before we meet her, we have to thank our sponsors. I want to thank TwinkleToesApparel.com for these wonderful, beautiful sandals. These slides, I just slide in and out of dance class with no problem. We also have a charcoal pouch where you can place into your bag to eliminate the odors of your leotards and tights and whatnot. So she is an entrepreneur in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's called TwinkleToesApparel.com. Thank you. Now back to the show. Tonight's guest, we have the one, the only, my sister, Nasha Thomas from Alvin, Ailey. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Look at that outfit.
Hello, hello, hello.
Can you give me a twirl?
Yes, ma'am.
Virgo, yes, Virgo.
Just had a birthday, 59, feeling
Happy
fine.
birthday.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday. You look gorgeous. Like, I can't believe you're even that age. Like, you're beautiful. Yes. So
Good
welcome
living,
to
no
the show.
stress.
No stress and doing what you love, right?
Yes.
We want to give a shout out to all the Virgos since it's your birthday. So I have my little list, and you can give your little shout out to maybe 2 or 3 people. So it started out, of course, with Beyonce on the 4th, okay? Then we want to shout out my mom, happy birthday. We want to shout out Mama Cheryl. We want to shout out Sister Levon. We want to shout out, of course, Miss Nasha had her birthday. And my girlfriend, Mia. And, of course, last but not least, Mama Edge. Today
Mama
is
Edge
her
and
birthday.
Carrie's daughter, Milan. Milan's birthday is the same day as mine.
She just had a birthday. So
Just had a birthday. Same day, twin.
Wonderful. So shout out to
Virgo
all the
power.
yeah, Capricorn, but yes, we honor the Virgo. We know the Virgo. We got it. So welcome to the show, Nasha. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
All right. So let's get started with your formative years of training. Where did this start? How did you know to dance and go? Like, how did that happen for you?
Well, like you, then maybe not like you. I don't know. I started at Bernice Johnson. That is home for all of us, and that's why we're family. And I was 3 years old, and there's nothing else like it. A friend of mine I was just talking to about my daughter, who started when she was 2, and I was saying how I used to drive to Queens from Jersey every Saturday. And they were like, why do you take her all the way out there? I said, because it's home. It was East Soda. So we did ballet, tap, and African, 3 hours in a row at 3 years old for our first couple of years. A lot of these studios now, the kids have 45 minutes and they have a mix of the techniques, but BJ made us have that attention span long and good. We'd be taken to the bathroom when we had to go. Tinkle, and sometimes we didn't make it to the bathroom, but I started at Bernice Johnson and just had a wonderful, wonderful experience, wonderful group of teachers, mentors who I am still in awe of and inspired by. And, there's no place like it. People always say they can tell a Bernice Johnson dancer when we come in the room or when we are at an audition or when we are teaching, because I believe we are one of a kind. That's where it started. And from there, it just went all over the place. And that's because BJ was a giver. A lot of these dance teachers don't want their students studying with anybody else. But you don't have a well-rounded full experience if you're only studying and training at one place and getting, information from one source. So, and it's better when you do it when you're younger, if you can. But that's where it all started. Bernice Johnson in Queens.
Bernice Johnson. I want to touch upon something you just said about the directors not wanting the students to train elsewhere. It's going to tie into pretty much what you do when you go into the schools with Alvin Ailey. So how does that work? If a director is like saying, I am afraid of getting different technique, but yet they hire you. So where's the disconnect with that?
Well, I think it's a little bit of ownership, you know, especially when artists become famous. People want to say they started with me. They trained.
So it's okay to do a little bit on the side, but
right. But I think if you are really supporting that artist, and you're a good teacher, you know that they are only going to be better with more information. Sometimes 5 people could be telling you the same thing. One person is going to tell you how to do that pirouette and it's just going to click, you know, and you don't know when that's going to happen. And no one instructor can give a child everything. You know, nobody can teach one person everything. Yeah.
Well, you brought it up. This is a teaching platform. So I have students watching. How do you train? I know this isn't on the question thing, but how do you train a student to do, let's say, a parallel, a jazz turn pirouette? Like, what are the things that you would tell a student to do?
Well, first of all, you know, that's an interesting thing. Ballet is very clear. Whether you're teaching, you know, Cicchetti or Vaganova or whatever, it's very clear. Jazz is one of those things, especially now, it's kind of cloudy. Yeah, you know, when I'm interviewing instructors, I say, do you teach jazz? What kind of jazz do you teach? I don't want to hear, you know, hip hop is one thing, but I teach, you know, this, no, you teach mathematic based, you teach Limon based, you know, what do you teach? And you ask about a jazz turn, there's a form. So I was trained in college by Darwin Priolo, mathematics. So that is a big part of, you know, how I teach jazz. And it's very, very structured, very clear, the positions, you know, you're doing a parallel turn, you start from flat to releve, balance, and then go into turns and then go into multiple turns. There's a, you know, structure of the arms, learning how to spot, very, very clear. Same thing with battements and tendus. The technique is very, very formatted and structured, and it's a great base for any jazz that you're doing, whether you go into hip hop from there or contemporary, you mix it with, you know, other things, but you have to have a clear structured form with whatever technique that you're doing.
Thank you for that. Sidebar, you know how those, they have that instrument that you spin on and you put your foot on and you do those 80-80 turns and you see those get, right.
No.
Talk to the people, please.
No, I don't. You know, I was actually a natural turner. I like turning. We had, you know, teachers like Kevin Hunt who, you know, just had us go for it all. And we were always trying to outdo each other. Constructive competition is something that we learned from Bernice Johnson. It was, you know, whose leg could get higher, who could do more turns. I saw something that you posted the other day about walking splits, you know, who could do that. We used to have back bend races. I used to be called Spider Woman, but it was with fun. And it helped us always try to be better and to do better. But no, I never heard no thing that you know, teaches you how to turn. Now the dancers wear socks because, you know, they want to have that glide. But we taped our feet after years dancing barefoot, modern dancers. We learned, we got some elasticon and elastoplast, and we burned the glue bottom and tape it on, and that glue would stay on, that tape would stay on for months. So, but you know, either you can turn or you can't. I'm gonna leave that there.
Leave that there.
Yeah.
So you touched briefly upon Bernice Johnson and Kevin Hunt, my home as well as yours. I wanted to know, I looked up to your class. Who did you look up to? Like, who was the person above you that you would say, oh my God, if I could just be like him or her?
I think the company that was before us, Bernice
Which
Johnson
one was
company, that was with Carolyn, Valerie
Oh.
Bedford, Kevin Jeff, Audrey, the Coppers, Donna Copper, Eric Sawyer, Kendall Bean. I mean, there were so many, Margot Blake. We just looked at them and it was just like they were gods and goddesses, you know. Terry gosh, I can't remember his last name. That's a shame. Who choreographed?
Oh yes, I know. Yes, Terry. I know. Yes.
Choreographed a piece to.
Let me call Donna. I know she.
Yeah, call her. Terry Mason. Terrence Mason. Terrence Mason. They were just. They were stars. Michael Peters was before them, but he was somebody that still came back. Lester Wilson. We saw pictures of them. And then, like I said, Audrey and Valerie, we got to see them dance. I traveled to St. Thomas and we all performed together. I got to see Valerie dance and sing on a piano, and now, she's this famous actress, and really just great role models. They all had an impeccable work ethic from the very, very beginning, from a very young age. And as teenagers, we understood that in order to be the best at what we were doing, our craft, we didn't do anything else. People don't believe me when I say I didn't know anything about sports. I didn't know anything about athletics. I didn't really do PE in school. I didn't cook. I didn't do anything. We danced Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week. Didn't want to go home on the weekend. Went from one school to the other. I was on scholarship at ABT. I was on scholarship at New York City Ballet, and I went to their summer camps. And it really was about getting the full experience. Performing Arts High School.
Okay, let's stop there. I always ask my guests, come on now. Do you remember the name of the song for your audition? Because I remember, here's what I remember about you. I remember Kevin, well, I just gave it away, working with you on your audition. Like, that's how I was like this with you. So
you remember the name more than I do.
Huh?
You remember more than I do.
Oh, okay. Or it could have been. It probably. No, you know what I remembered? I remembered for when you got the presidential scholarship.
Presidential scholar.
And let me tell you, it was a big thing. I'm telling you, my class. Nasha's working with Kevin on. Oh, Nasha can't go in the room. Can't go in the big room. And we were trying to peek and open the door to see what you. It was just. You guys were like the first Beyonce. Like, I cried. Like and I told this to Miss Kendall Bean. Like, before all of that, that was them. Kendall Bean walking up the stairwell, looking at Valerie, looking at Miss Margot. All of you, y'all were like the first female stars to us. For us. Well, not you, but you know what I mean. Them, because they were a little older.
My audition for performing arts, I don't remember the piece, but I remember. They stopped me maybe not even a minute into the piece, maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I was in a split and they stopped me.
Did you hold it?
Yeah.
Hold that
they were
split.
like, thank you. Okay. And what do you do after that? You get up and it's like, okay, did I get it? And then Presidential Scholars, that was a whole experience going down to Princeton and having to show in front of people and meeting people from all across the country, different dancers that were my age was really, really beautiful. But my mother reminded me recently, a couple of weeks ago, how we were all practicing and they didn't see me dance. So, BJ taught us how to practice. You didn't really show anybody what you were doing. You did your little thing. And then, people were like, what's she doing over there? She can't. My mother said after I danced, she came down there and people were like, oh my gosh, your daughter is stunning. She was absolutely beautiful. Her dance, and before that, I guess they were like, what that girl over there doing? Looking like she's doing chicken scratch, doing little stuff like this. But we learned how to keep to ourselves, to not do it full out until it was time to do it full out. And we had just really, really wonderful teachers. Kevin, you remember me rehearsing. I don't. I remember probably getting yelled at, to do better and, do more, but it was always fun. It was always fun. I don't have any memories of being like, oh God, I got to go to dancing school today. Oh, we got to do this. Or we got rehearsal. It was where we're going to go, who's coming in to teach us this week, performing out, what are we wearing? And it was, somebody got hurt. I know the part, getting put into something at the last minute. It was just fun.
Okay. Let's stop there. Let's talk about how important it is to know choreography. Can you give us an example of a situation where you might have had to step in with someone who got injured? Did it ever happen to you personally? How were you prepared for it? What would you tell a student?
It has happened to me a couple of times. It happened to me in the Ailey company at Bernice Johnson. I will share with you.
Okay.
something that helped me realize that no matter how good you are, if you're not doing the work, somebody else will get put in your place, and it's nothing personal. Jeff, God bless his heart, he was choreographing a piece on us. I don't remember what it was, and I was just not emoting with my facial expressions. And I was always kind of like, I was real shy, and my body was working, but no emotion. And I remember he took me out and put in Debbie Dockery or somebody. And it was a thing where stuff like that, it hurt you a little bit, but that was it, and that was your turn to get taken out, and you learned, and you got better. And the next time it was somebody else who you were replacing. But we rolled like this. Somebody got injured, we were put in the part immediately. We learned it. You improvised. Sometimes it was during the show. In Ailey, it was the same thing. We had 2, 3, or 4 casts to a piece, and you just prayed that, you didn't have to go on a night that wasn't your night. But if it was, you were ready. We had rehearsal for rehearsal, behind the rehearsal, to the rehearsal. So we were always prepared. And it's exciting. Sometimes it's something. I remember roles that I really wanted to do, that I really liked, and I was second or third cast and didn't get to do it that much, and then got to do it on a special night that I wasn't expecting to get to do it, and just being really excited and happy. But you must not wait for somebody to teach you something. Your job as a dancer is to be sitting, watching, and learning. And I tell my kids all the time, you sitting over there talking, okay, you're talking. When it's your time, when something happens, I want the one who says, I know it, I can go in, I don't have time, the instructors don't have time to reteach you something. You should be learning everything. And that's one thing about those edges. They have that mind, and they were always like that, all of them, Donna, Wendy, and Carrie. They could sit and look at something and get up and do it. I wasn't like that. I had to learn and practice and be taught. And quite frankly, it was kind of hard for me to retain choreography as I got older. Yeah. Okay. Especially, I think for me, there were things that were just natural in my body that felt good. I liked the music, I liked the piece, but something I didn't like, it took me forever to learn. Donald Byrd choreographed the ballet, which I love, Dance at the Gym. But the process learning it, he taught us these phrases, and then we had to retrograde and literally reverse everything. Right. So, by the time we went to rehearsal for an hour, I had a headache. And I was Elizabeth Rojas understudy. So I was like, let me let her learn it. And then have the retrograde, and then it'll be like me learning it the first time. Because I was having such a hard time, remembering things. And that's a scary thing. I mean, I remember doing Cry. I did Cry for 6 years. Every night, every day before the show, I would sit with my headphones on, whether I was taking a bath or eating or walking, and I would just go through the piece because I always felt like I was going to forget a step. As soon as the curtain came up, it all was there. But it was just that anticipation, that anxiety, that fear that I was going to forget something.
Can I just say something? Yeah. Cry is like the epitome, like that's the top dance with Ailey. This is something you've seen maybe since you were 6 years old. This is something you've seen with maybe only at that time, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 people. So I get it. I get you. I get it. You're like, don't make me be the one to mess this up. So, okay, let's talk about Cry since we're there. We skipped over a whole lot, but we'll go back because I mean, that's everything. How does it go? Does Miss Jameson come to you and say, hey, Nasha, I want you to audition for the part? Or did they just come to you and say, we feel that you fit the role, we want to have you try it out? How does that happen?
Actually, every year at the end of the year, we have contract talks to talk about, our work and how things were and what they want you to work on and what's going on next year. And it was the end of my first year. And I was in a room at City Center with Alvin and Mary.
Wait a minute. Stop. Virgo, did you say the first year?
Listen, it didn't have, but this is how the conversation came up. Mary Barnett asked me in front of Alvin, so do you want to do Cry? And it was the end of my first year. I did nothing but Night Creature, the full ballet Night Creature, and Yellow section in Revelations, only the end, the whole first year. And I looked at her and I said, no. And she says to me, are you kidding me? All the women in the company, all the ballets, and you don't want to do Cry? And I said, I don't want to do anything that I'm not given to do. I didn't know what to say. So that was the first year. And second year went on. Alvin passed away in '89. And what Mary said to me then too, in Night Creature, I'm a legato dancer. I elongate everything. It's an 8 count phrase. I'm going to start on the half of the count before the 1, and I'm going to end on the half of the count after the 8. I just elongate everything. And I was always a half a count behind everybody. So she took me aside. She said, look, you are not out there by yourself. You are not doing a solo. She said, you will be a soloist at some point, but not right now. So I expect you to get out there and learn how to dance with the corps and be with everybody else, lady. And I was like, okay. So I had to, I had to figure it out. And then when Alvin died and Judy became the artistic director, she said, I want you to do Cry. And that was it. It wasn't a big conversation about it. I was taught by Renee Robinson. Judith Jamison herself rehearsed me. I think I learned the ballet in one day. Debbie Manning rehearsed me. It was something. And I'll tell you this at the very beginning. Listen, very beginning, the cloth is up like this. And you're doing like this. And I had learned it was my first time showing it to Judy. And she says to me, no. She kept starting it again. I wasn't doing a full circle. I was like, sweet Jesus, I haven't even moved yet. I haven't opened the cloth. I'm not going to make it. And it was that kind of, process. But it was one that I grew into. I performed the ballet for 6 years, and probably the most fulfilling thing I've done other than Ulysses dubbed ballets, I think.
Yeah. So I really wish I tried to find it on YouTube.
No, I have copies. It's actually in Lincoln Center Library. My very first performance, which was in London, England, is in the library. And girl, look at that. I look like Superwoman. Cries the ballet at the end. You're just like, oh my God, please just let me, still have some energy to finish with the skirt. I was just popping off, and it was the same thing for my very last performance. I was just so happy that it was over, and then I had gotten to perform it so much, and my mother was there. I had extra energy.
Any advice for young college students coming in and getting ready to audition, and they want to do that piece, Cry? They're looking up for that. What would you tell them to do? To do?
I think the best advice is not to want. I think as an artist, your job is to be the vessel. So if an artistic director or a choreographer wants you for a role, that's one thing. If you are pining and wanting for a role, a lot of times you're going to end up bitter. And I've worked with a lot of people that have ended up bitter because they wanted to do Cry or they wanted to do something else. And Alvin didn't see that for them. Judith Jamison didn't see that for them. And it's hard. It's a responsibility to be given a role, whether you're the principal, the soloist, or a part of a group in the corps. You are responsible for yourself and for, for that performance. It's hard being on stage by yourself. It's hard being on stage by yourself for 15 minutes. It's hard being on stage by yourself in a pool of light and you're Black and you got to jump up on a chair and people think that the chair is stuck to the floor and you're praying that you don't fall off. It is something that I learned by watching people in the Ailey company and appreciating them and having a great deal of respect, because what happens is when you're in that leadership role, people are looking up to you. And if you falter, if you fall off the chair, if you mess up, then I know I always felt like, I had to go out there and do more than, if something didn't go right with something I, had done before that. And I felt the same, for people. It really, even though you're alone, it's a group thing, so it really is about teamwork. And there's nothing that's going to bring you, I don't think it's going to bring you anything other than possible heartache than wanting to do something. And that's why when Mary Barnett asked me, do I want to do Cry? No, I didn't want to do it. Right. If I was given the ballet, that is an honor, but it was a lot of damn work. It was a lot of work, and not just, to learn it and not just to get through the first performance. No, it was 6 years of work. Every single time I had to perform it, whether it was the beginning of a tour, the end of a tour, or my God, Christmas Eve. You can't even eat with your family. You can't relax. You can't breathe. You get, and you got to do Cry. And it always you always wanted to be at your best. Yeah. And you feel differently every day, whether you're a performer or not. We just as people, we're different every day. So The advice I would give is, do what you're asked to do and be prepared. And should you be given the opportunity to perform a special role, especially something that has been done and is iconic, but I mean, who the heck wants to do Cry? Everybody is looking at you. Girl, let me tell you something. I wanted to do Umbrella. And I just, wade in the water. I was the Wade couple. And that was just natural movement for me. I was, we did the lead every gala, every open night, but I was like, I want to do Umbrella. So Judy said, okay, girl, the umbrella the first time, it fell down your wrist. No. You look at Renee Robinson and she so effortlessly throws the umbrella and all that undulation. Yes. That is hard. Yeah. That's the only thing that I've really wanted to do that I said something about. And I did about 5-6 times and then and I was like, please, I don't want to do it no more. Oh my God, I was dying.
Yeah. She did Diega. She was like, okay, we're going to bring somebody else up in here. Mm-hmm. I have some pictures that I'd like to share with you and the audience.
Sure.
Of you performing. Let's see here. Since we were talking about Cry, here
let me put the
glasses.
Oh, yes. That was Judy's last hurrah, her retirement, 2011, January of 2011. And Renee Robinson, Linda Denise Fisher-Harrell, and I did Cry. I did the third section. Renee did the first section, and Linda did the second section. And Anthony Cave Harris actually did a piece on me in his Dance Mogul magazine. So thank you to him. And that was a beautiful night, just an absolutely beautiful night. Chaya called me and asked me to do it. I retired in 98, and this was 2011. So I was, how old was I? 82, 92. I was about 40 something years old. And I thought, are you kidding me? I hadn't danced in a while. And I did Cry for a couple of years after I retired. I did special things Judy would have me do. But I couldn't touch my toes. I couldn't point my feet. And he asked me in August, the end of August, and the performance was in January. And I immediately said no. And then I said, and we hung up, and I said, Chaya, I can't. So I said, you know what, Judy really wants me to do this. He wants me to do it. He wanted me to do third section. I said, first section, maybe I could do, but then I thought, I get down on the floor, I won't be able to get up scrubbing. And second section was just too long. So, I thought about it, and I told him, I said, give me until opening night of City Center, and I'll tell you then. And he said, okay. And we hung up again. And I thought about it, and I felt bad. I just called him back and said, I'll do it. And I said, Nasha, just get your shit together. So I went, and I was in Bikram about 3 to 4 times a week. And that loosened me up and had me lose a little weight or tighten. You're in that white skirt, girl, and that white leotard all the way down the back. And I did it. And I only did it full out once at the performance. When the curtain went up, I rehearsed it and marked it. I had one in me, the layouts, the hitch kicks, everything one time. And we woke up the next morning, we were on the cover of New York Times, and I got on a plane and went on vacation that next morning. But it was an amazing out-of-body experience.
I want to know, how much does this skirt weigh?
The skirt is not that heavy.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
But I tell you, at 40 something years old, 10, 15 years after retirement, that is the picture that I wish I could have taken with that skirt when I was performing it. That it's something. That's
gorgeous. That was a great shot.
This is Hidden Right with David St. Charles, who passed away. God bless him, rest in peace. One of my first partners. David did everything with me. We did Fix Me Jesus. We did Night Creature. He was my partner. Alvin loved the two of us together. And this is Hidden Right. Duet and Hidden Rights.
Okay.
And he was from Philadelphia. That's Aubrey Lynch and myself.
Yes.
And Barry Martin, who was danced with us at Bernice Johnson, passed away also, but he choreographed this piece, Chelsea's Bells. Alvin, that's a wonderful thing about Mr. Ailey. He loved up and coming emerging artists, and he gave a lot of artists a chance, to work with his company, and that was a fun piece.
Are you a choreographer?
Girl, I have nothing to say. I don't choreograph. No, I can clean a piece like a whistle and stage things, but no, I don't choreograph. This is urban folk dance choreographed by Ulysses Dove, and that was one of my other anything of his was a favorite.
Okay,
he's really someone who had a turning point in my career with putting me in the lead in Vespers.
because again, this is a teaching platform. We have students who are watching. Do you see how the toe is right in line? Look at that. See that? And then look.
Girl, that came out about three or four turns, and you had to stop. And I was praying. You see, I'm on a little slight releve. I had to pull up a little bit to stop and catch that. But from there, you go right down to the floor. Gorgeous. So the photographer was great because he caught it at the right time.
Gorgeous, this is Nasha. Okay.
With Don Bellamy, one of my other favorite partners. This is Don and I here with Renee Robinson.
Yes.
Wade in the water.
You look like about 18 here.
I know.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Little baby face.
Yep.
And there's that umbrella.
I want to know, what were you thinking? How long do I have to hold this pose? I want to know what you were thinking.
You know, that is Wade in the Water was another one of my favorite ballets sections to do. The music, Alvin had a certain musicality, and if you watch old tapes of him, he was very earthy and grounded, and a lot of his movements, especially in Wade in the Water, are undulations, and it just that music, boom, 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 boom. You hear that music, girl, you just get down. You can't help but boogie down.
Yeah.
I did it with Lenny Meek too. Brother Lenny was one of my Wade partners. Don Bellamy, Bernard Gaddis, we all, I had them all. Antonio Carlos Scott, Carlos and I, we partnered a lot in different ballets. He is a principal now at a school in Florida.
Hey, that's where I am. Where is he? We need to hook up.
Great time.
Is he in South Florida? Well, you don't know.
You know what?
We'll find him.
Sure. But you know what? Carlos was one of, I did not like being lifted. And of course, you know, being a female dancer, you're going to have partners. He was someone who always made me very comfortable. He was like, just stand there. I got you. Don't move. I got you. I'm gonna pick you up. I'll put you down. Don't worry about it. I got you. You throwing me around. And I always felt very comfortable with him. This is my Ailey campers. These are my Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, this is in Newark. This is about 50 of them on stage. So let's talk about briefly about this and what this is that you do. I'm gonna see if I can stop sharing. And
that's actually at the Ailey School. It was a day where I had the New York and Newark campers together, and the young man who was next to me down on my left, Christopher Taylor, just got in the second company. So, and he started with me when he was 10 years old at Ailey Camp. So really, really just a beautiful story, beautiful young man. But yeah, Ailey Camp, that's my heart.
Okay, I have some more pictures, so hold on, let's see. How long have you been doing that with the Ailey Camp?
Girl, 22 years. It seems like I started yesterday. I had moved to Germany in 98 and came back in 99 and was the Director of Arts and Education at Ailey and also the National Director of Ailey Camp. And that's when I learned all about Ailey Camp, which had started in 89 when I was still in the company. Okay. This is me teaching a workshop somewhere with some school students. I traveled about 3 to 4 weeks out of the year teaching Revelations and Night Creature workshops, which is so much fun.
So with COVID, how did that change? Are you still traveling as much?
I didn't do any traveling last year, no special residencies. I did a couple of virtual workshops, which are good and fun. For me, the joy in that is that the kids get to experience it. Of course, it takes away they're in their bedrooms and their kitchens and their living rooms, and I'm in my living room. And there's a delay in the music and the what you see and what you're doing. But again, just for them to be able to have the experience and to learn about Alvin Ailey and his signature work Revelations is always great. This is what I love to do. And I'm out on these plazas around the country doing these big community workshops. This was outside of Lincoln Center.
Yes, I see. Yes.
Yeah. And I just get the people dancing, and I think the joy with that, a lot of them have been coming to see the Ailey Company for years. They've seen Revelations, they've been in the house, but to get to learn the movement, they learn Rock of My Soul, and get to do some of I've Been Buked or Wade in the Water. And a lot of times I have props, the water and umbrellas and stuff. It makes them feel really special. And it's a generational thing. So the little young kids are doing it. The old grandparents are doing it. Everybody is involved. It's a lot of fun.
So, okay, so let's just, before we leave here, if we have a director out there who is interested in bringing you guys out to their school, how does that work? How much does something like that cost? And tell us about the program briefly.
Well, they can go to the Ailey website and into the Arts and Education tab. Catherine Williams is the director. I am the spokesperson and master teacher for Arts and Education. So I facilitate and organize, coordinate all of the outreach workshops that happen around the country. But you can check us out there. You can also email me at nthomas@alvinailey.org. And Catherine will, talk you through what's available, the pricing. It depends on the length of the event, how many people, how many days, but of course the travel, how many people, sometimes I go by myself, sometimes I have an assistant, sometimes I have 4 people.
Gotcha.
Travel expenses, airfare, hotel, plus, teaching all of that.
Yes.
But it's been really, really wonderful. I've done the Rev residency in London twice. Did a semblance of Ailey camp in Hawaii a couple of summers ago with a wonderful group of not homeless kids. They were kids that lived in a shelter. It's so beautiful to see how young people are the same everywhere in the world. It does, it really doesn't matter where you are. A child that is a foster child or that is living in a shelter or has low self-esteem or is being bullied or who is really bright and just can't find their voice. They're all the same. They're all the same. It doesn't matter where they are.
Okay, well, let's talk about students. I want to take you to one of my students, Tiana, and it's not about low self-esteem, but she has a question for you. As soon as I open this up. Hold on. Can you see her?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Nasha. My name is Tiana, and my question for you today is, what kind of advice would you give to dancers who are feeling discouraged or they don't feel like they have what it takes to be in this kind of career? Look forward to your response, and thank you.
Great question. Advice to dancers who are discouraged or don't feel that they have a chance making a career out of this. First, I'm going to say, which we learned from Bernice Johnson, is to be serious about your craft and be honest with yourself. Because sometimes, we want to do things, but they're not things that we should be doing. So first, make sure that this is something that you really, really love. And quite frankly, that you're good at. And sometimes you're not the person to tell yourself whether you're good or not. So you're going to talk to your teachers, because I know some people, some people who have spent years, time, money, sweat, and wind up, being a chef or, an accountant or something. The love has to be there. The passion has to be there. The desire has to be there. The commitment has to be there, because it's not an easy job. And there are a whole lot of other people out there doing the same thing. So knowing that this is something you want to do, making that commitment, and then just giving it your all and exposing yourself to everything. So, you're dancing, you're doing all the techniques. We did ballet, we did modern, we did tap, we did jazz, we did West African, we did gymnastics. You see these people now, they're roller skating. You might have a piece that's on point shoes. You might have a piece that's in character shoes. You might have a piece that's barefoot. You might have to do some cartwheels. That you just really don't know. So the more versatile you are, and Ailey dancers are some of the most versatile artists on the planet, the more opportunities you will have. You don't want to, back in the day, it was either you were a ballet dancer or you were a modern dancer. Ballet dancers do contemporary work now, and contemporary dancers do classical work. So you really need to be able to do everything. And then if you want to do Broadway or commercial work, you need to sing, you need to act. And these things take time, and also travel and study in different, different places. I was my second year, sophomore at SMU, and I was riding with somebody in a car, and I heard there was an audition for Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And I said, I had never known anything about sports until I got to college. It was an audition. I was like, oh, I'll go. I didn't know what the heck it was. Went and got it. And there I was, a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. And everybody, shush. I just got a delivery. That's what that was. So, I had no idea about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. I had just heard this audition, and I remember Bernice Johnson in the back of my head saying, it's an audition, just go and try. The more experience you have, the better it is. I auditioned and I got the gig, and I was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Changed my life. I am still very, very good friends.
How so? How did it change your life, Nasha? We want to know.
I had to take a Dale Carnegie course. I learned about public speaking, having a voice, speaking up. I learned about how to be presentable. Every day we could not go out in curlers. We had to have our nails done all the time, stockings, just how to be a lady. We could not give out our personal information to people. We were very, very well taken care of. It's an amazing organization. That Cowboys organization is really, really something. And it wasn't about the money, but it groomed me. And that was the first place where someone called me out for my legato. We're doing a kick line, and I would go kick, and my leg would go up and come down slow. And those girls kick. And Suzanne Mitchell, I love her. I miss her. She passed away a few years ago. But she was one of those women like Bernice Johnson. She was just tough. There was no BS. It was my way. This is where it's going to be. And she ran a tight ship, but she did it with love and with care. And she would never tell any of us anything wrong to do, that didn't make sense. But it was there that I learned what fork to eat with. I learned when I sit down, I open my napkin up right away. My mother will tell this story, how I came home and I flipped out the napkin and sat it in my lap. She thought, my gosh, what is my child doing? She remembers everything. But I learned so much from the women, the cheerleaders. They were so pristine and so beautiful and so poised. Here I was, from New York, a dancer. I walked around in sweatpants all day, every day. And, it was just about dance. I was like this. I was never really cared about my hair. My hair was always, back in a bun, and, didn't wear makeup unless we were performing. Yeah. But I really learned how to be a young lady. And we were with dignitaries, we traveled, we had to eat everything that was put in front of us. I didn't like that.
Really?
But but again, that's where I think that's the first place I learned about representing an organization, being bigger than myself and being looked at and judged and sized up because of the organization that I was with, and who I was working for. And then as a young Black girl, there were only 4 Black girls on the squad, and I believe it's the same today. It really was a statement to a lot of the young girls who were looking at us. And all of my friends, as soon as I would tell somebody, I danced, Alvin, Ailey, this one, yeah. You say Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, especially the guys, the husbands, and some friends of mine that I worked with in education. They were just so impressed, with the fact that, I was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. And I didn't think it was such a big thing at that time. And I really didn't talk about it much. And it was a friend of mine, Derek Mentor, who said, he said, that's the first professional job you've had, And after I thought about it, I graduated from college, and I was doing that in college. I made $15 a game. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't a lot of money. But it is something to this day, I'm so proud of, saying that I was part of that organization. Yay. And you look at making the team, that is just how it's no joke.
Just like it.
They are no joke. Weight, what you eat, how you dress, how you speak, everything impeccable, absolutely impeccable.
So thank you for that. We're coming to the close. So I want to talk briefly about representation of yourself coming into an Ailey audition. what would you tell the young men and women entering? Because we all know that the audition starts at the door. So we know that, but they don't know that. So could you just walk them through the things that they're looking at coming in for an audition, the directors?
I will share, when I auditioned for Ailey, this is in 1986, and it was January. Not typical. Auditions are usually right before the summer, but they had a male or somebody got injured and they were looking to replace a male. That was the word. They were looking for a male. And it was the only time I was home when there was an audition I was able to go. I didn't think I was going to get the job. I didn't think I wanted the job. But Chucky Epps, who danced, my brother from Bernice Johnson, told me, he was already in the company. He said, do not come in here in the standard black leotard pink tights. So what are you going to wear? BJ always told us, don't wear white because it stands out too much, and don't wear red because it's screaming, everybody look at me. I had a turquoise blue milkskin unitard. I had just had my hair braided. I had these long corn braids. And I think the first thing is, and this is for everything now that I think about it, because I mentor a lot of young people, presentation is everything. Before you open your mouth, when you walk in a room, people are looking at you. They're looking, I had people tell me how I walk, and, people look at you and they automatically go, my gosh. And this is what they said, Alvin said. I walked and he said, my God, she's beautiful. I hope she can dance. Hadn't done anything. And it was just, again, what I wore, how I looked, and I hadn't moved yet. And they were supposedly looking for a male. So by the end of that audition, I was the only one that was taken. There were 6 people left. I was the only one that was taken. I'm clearly not a, yes, clearly not a male, but it was also my time. Presentation, and then you're going to give it your all. You're not going to mark anything. You're going to also, if you have a question, ask questions. Don't ask too many questions. But
okay, wait, stop teaching. Talk about that. It's great to ask a question, but talk to the students that feel like their parents, ask a question. Talk to them about that.
Well, you don't want to be annoying. And I tell, students, there's no stupid question. So if you really want to know something, ask. But you don't keep asking questions, because then you feel like it seems like you just want attention. And you're going into the audition. Your job is to do what you're shown to do. You're to replicate. You're not to make up something. So you want to see with detail what the movements are, the musicality, the feeling, whoever's showing it to you, and you want to copy that person. That's all you want to do. Now you're going to put yourself in it because it's just going to be you, because it's you, but that's your job. Nobody wants to see you do something that's an affectation of what they did. They had the arm. Dove told me that once. We did something, he was teaching something, and he said to me, excuse me, he said, you will never see that port de bras in any of my ballets. And my name was not up on the board the next day to come into, or he was just setting a piece. So I was out of it then. Okay. And again, that I didn't do my job. My job was to repeat and replicate what I was shown. So pay attention and be aware of who's around you. Don't go in there knocking people down, dancing all over people. And there should be, at that level, if you're going into audition for something like the Alvin American Dance Theater, there should be a level of, I got this. There's a humbleness, but as an artist, there's a certain, I don't want to say cockiness, but you know what you got, you know who you are, you know what you can do. And you have to have that assuredness, and you have to show that because you're going to need it when you start working, So, those are things I think, and then perseverance, persistence. I know people that have auditioned for Ailey 8 times. They didn't get it the first time. They didn't get it the second time. They didn't get it the 6th time. They got it the 8th time. There are people that didn't get it the first time that never went back and auditioned again. So, I believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen. So that person that got in the 8th audition, that's when they were supposed to get, in the company. And then getting there is only the beginning. Sustaining, being there carving a place for yourself, making a name for yourself. I remember saying, I want people to say, I want to go see Nasha Thomas dance tonight. I remember, being in and getting out of college, and just because it's a giving art form. The audience must feel something from you. Our job is to kind of take them away and, show them, something that is far from, the bills and all the regular stuff that they have to deal with. But for someone to buy a ticket to come and see me was what I always wanted. And of course, my family, you and the BJ people did that. But there were a lot of other people that I realized I met through performing or even after performing, who told me, how a performance of mine made them feel, or seeing me in a certain role. And that's what it's all about. That's what you
connection,
want.
the connection.
Yeah. And Alvin Ailey knew how important that was. And that's why we do the Q&As after the performances. We, meet the audience, especially young people. They see you as something that's unattainable, that, they can't talk to your, this being that's just like, oh, and we're really not. We sleep, eat, party, get stressed, worry about things like everybody else. And it's wonderful to be able to inspire a young person, or even an adult who's doing something, to show them that we love what we do, and maybe inspire them to say, this is, what I'm doing right now is not what I really want to do. COVID did that for a lot of people. You lost the people that were just dead weights, let them go. Jobs that were not feeding you, let it go. People created new things, carved out spaces for themselves. At this point, like, I just turned 59. I just want to be happy. I want to enjoy life. We got people dropping day after day, day in and day out around us. And we really don't know. I enjoy life. I love the work that I do. I think I have one of the best jobs ever. Yeah. I have an amazing group of friends and family and supporters and people who love me, who I love, who, I just got over 400 messages of happy birthday, and social media, people calling me and texting me and emailing me, and people that I make feel good, which is what feeds me. I'm a natural giver, and I have a space with people. I don't like to get too close, but I like that connection. I like making the connections, and I love giving opportunities to people, whether they're young or old, and whether it's something to experience something. Almost everybody I meet says, I always wanted to be a dancer. Go figure. Yeah. So,
well, we love you, and I so thank you for coming on the show and sharing your journey with us.
I'm so proud of you. I am really proud. It's funny. You don't think about it. We're young, and you're like a little baby. You were like a little baby.
Get out of here, little
sister. Yeah. No, you were never like that. But then we grow up, and the distance is not so far. It's not so deep. Yeah. So we're colleagues. We're on the same level, and we're doing what we love, and it's so beautiful to see you and your children and your family, and teaching and sharing and giving back, and that's all we can do. That's what we're supposed to do, is give back. So
let's end it there. That was perfect. Yes, Miss Nasha Thomas, thank you so much for your time and energy. I would love for you to come back another time and just let us know after COVID how things have changed or whatever, what's going next for you. Last time, if anyone wants to contact you again, what is your contact information?
nthomas@alvinailey.org for business. And
that's Virgo for business.
Personal, nlthomas962@gmail.com. I'll hit you back.
Yes. And go feed the dogs. We love you, Nasha.
Yeah.
Get that package.
Thank you. Love you too.
Thank you. Well, I think I'm watching 15 minutes.